68, 67 or 68, we weren't sure. Let's see, what is that? A 90 Chevy 90 series. And it's really solid body. We're doing all new brakes on it. And fuel tank, fuel lines, carburetor, HEI distributor. It's an inline 6 that hasn't run since 97. I guess that's about 25 years. And but the motor's free. It's not locked up. So there's the new carburetor. But she's crusty. We've got a battery hooked up to it. We've already spun the engine with the battery. We used to not do the will it runs, but I guess one every once in a while don't hurt. But we do will it runs all the time around here, but we never video them. It's just kind of overdone on YouTube. Okay, so we think this van's a 68. I said 67 earlier, but it looks like probably this breather hasn't been off in 25 years. I noticed the plate set at 97. So we're gonna pull that off and see what's down in the carburetor. All right, I've got the new fuel tank mounted into little Chevy 90. Probably need to put an insulator in there. I hadn't tightened it down yet, so I can go back and put some insulators in there once I find some, and then dropping the radiator out. Right now it was very crusty. We got a new radiator we're gonna put in it, and let's see. Yep, there it is. Oh, crusty. All right, so that gives me pretty good access to the front of that engine now if I need to get to the front of the engine. Actually, I have to change the fuel pump, which it really don't allow me any more access to that, but that's not too bad to get to anyhow. That alternator's crusty. External regulator. What's the chances of that thing actually charging? I had to torch. Man, I had to torch these. There it goes, or part of it. These radiator braces out because the bolts were body bolts, and they were spinning. I guess I didn't torch that one far enough. Come on, baby, break on off here. Y'all ever have this kind of trouble? I mean, I just almost got it. Keep twisting it. Come on. There it goes. Now, see. Uh-oh. I thought I had that motor spinning the other day. I better get a wrench on that and see what's up. I could have sworn the crankshaft turned for me. Yeah, because we turned it over with the starter. Yeah. All right, we're back over here on this 68 Chevy 90. And we got the master cylinder put on it, and yesterday all the linkages freed up from the foot feed and the shifter and the brake pedal. New brake lines, rubber brake lines, and new shoes, drum shoes all the way around, wheel cylinders. But all the brake lines were rotten and broke off. So what I'm gonna do today is make new steel brake lines, make up some new steel brake lines for this thing, which should be quite fun. So yeah, every stinking one of those lines broke. So I gotta build all new lines. All right, so I guess we'll just get to it. Okay, we've got all the brake lines run on this van. I'll show you that in a little bit. But we got to get the master cylinder filled up now and bleed the master cylinder before we can bleed the rest of the system. And on these vans, the master cylinder access is right there. We pull that plug right there out of the floorboard. Boy, this thing is crusty. I need to get the shop vac out here, I guess, and vacuum some of that up so we don't get it down in the master cylinder. But you can see the lid right there, so we'll pop that off. And I've got the master cylinder plugged, so we can top that off with fluid and just, what you do is push the brake pedal here once every few seconds and work the air out of the top of that thing. So we'll get that done and then go back underneath the van. Fluid in there, and you immediately see the bubbles working their way to the top. That's a good thing. So we'll just let it sit there and self-bleed for a little bit until okay. Seems like that's going to be done. Okay, now right here we'll just push this brake pedal, and you should see some bubbles make their way to the surface. There comes some bubbles there. There you've got, just barely push the pedal and you got some bubbles coming up. So I know I'm making contact there. So we'll just keep working the air out of that thing until we get a pedal. And then I can take my lines loose down, or my plugs out of it, and hook our lines up, and then we'll go bleed each wheel. So that's a process that'll take just probably, about 5 or 10 minutes to properly do this. So we got our brake lines run. There's your master cylinder. All new brake lines over to the proportioning valve. All new over to the passenger front. And then to the, not focusing for some reason, to the driver's front. And then all the way back to the rear. New rear hose, new brake lines to the new wheel cylinders on the driver and passenger rear. So we've got it all bled and pumped up, and the brakes are nice and firm. So now I'm running new fuel line from the fuel tank up to the new fuel pump, which is not here yet, but it goes in that cavity there. It'll be here in a little bit. So I think I might let the vehicle down now and go ahead and change out the carburetor and distributor maybe. Videos. Okay, we got the battery hooked up. I got the cap off of the distributor and cleaned the points. So we're gonna hopefully turn the motor over and see if the points fire. Ooh, spark? sparky. Oh yeah, we got some spark. Okay, we got our new fuel pump mounted, new carburetor, fuel lines, and we have spark. So we're gonna try this. Oh gosh, really?
Want the starter?
Either that or... Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Turn it over. Got that one feeling. Okay. Definitely.
Starter smoking down there?
Yeah, it is. Definitely got a pop there, didn't we? Yeah, you better let it cool down. Well, we had number 3 and 4 cylinder was dead, so we pulled the valve cover off and found that these 2 valve springs were stuck down. So we knocked on them with the hammer, got them loosened up, and I forgot to video all that. So sorry. Hopefully it'll run now. I've got the plugs pulled back out of this one. We're gonna let them soak, let these cylinders soak overnight, and then let the battery charge overnight. Then tomorrow I'll turn this engine over without the plugs in it so it'll spin nice and free, and hopefully build up some oil pressure, get these lifters pumped up. Right now, I mean, you can just like this exhaust, well, it's getting tighter. It is getting tighter. Some of the lifters, you could, like that one there, I guess that's number 4 intake valve, I think, and you can see that it's still a little squishy. So the lifters, you know, the hydraulic lifters, there's one right there. There's a good example. Number 3 cylinder. See how much play it has, and that's the hydraulic lifter moving because it has not got any oil pressure on it. It's drained down from sitting so long. So that takes a lot of movement out of your valve train. Let's see. There's another one. Cylinder 2. A lot of hydraulic lifter. Yeah, so after we get those built up with oil pressure, it should... Sorry guys, but after we get this built up with oil pressure, it should there'd be a better potential that it'll run. So we'll see what happens. I'm trying to climb out of this van now. I know this has been some terrible quality filming here in the last little bit, but trying to climb in and out of this van and everything is, and hold the camera is kind of difficult. Okay, go ahead and try it. Let's see if it'll start. Now that so we just had it running and all the rockers are moving. Seems like the oil pressure came up and it sounds really good, but we got to get the radiator in it so that we don't overheat it too bad. So making progress. Okay, so we got our new radiator mounted in there and the new HEI distributor, and we had it running and the alternator locked up on it, so we had to put another alternator on it. And we got the air breather on there, new set of wires, and she ran pretty good. We'll hopefully be test driving it here in just a little bit. Can you hook that battery up, just the negative there?
I got you, buddy. Old Doug's hooking the battery up. Old Doug. Now, what about this wire that's hanging off?
No, don't worry about that.
Alrighty.
All right, is it twisted on there kind of where it's got good connection?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right, we got the little 90 running pretty good. It's idled a little high. I'm gonna have to fiddle with that a little bit, but this is the first drive. Of course, what in the heck is that squealing? Got seat belts. Yeah, this thing will probably be a funky ride.
I'm too fat for it.
Too purple for it.
Yeah.
What was that? Grief.
Springs have rusted up on it.
I guess that's what it is. Yeah, the leaf springs are, I guess so. They don't slide too good anymore. Old shackles probably. 1968 though, that's how they rolled. Plenty of leg room. Let's test the brakes yet. That squealing.
Something back there.
That's the craziest sound I've ever heard. still.
Rear end?
No, the rear end shouldn't be making noise sitting still.
It's gotta be in the drive shaft then.
Well, even like when you're just sitting still, the drive shaft would be sitting still. All right, that was the first test drive on this thing, and it did really good, run good. It had a lot of creaks and noises and scrapes, and the really loud squealing that it's doing, we're pretty sure that's the release bearing making noise, because it's even doing it as it is sitting still, and the release bearing would be the only thing that would cause that. Uh-oh, low battery. (1968) Chevy van. Will it run? Yes, it did run. What do you say, Duh?
How you doing?
How you doing?
It runs now.
Yeah, whole thing runs good. It's fun to drive.
Got the gun touch.
It's fun to ride in it while Scott drives. Duh. I mean, you don't have seat belts now. I'm warning you. So.
Well, I figured it's long front end.
Well, that windshield cleaned up nice, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. All the windows did after about 6 hours of scrubbing them.
All right. 1968, running, driving, stopping. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching.